as far as sort of a summary of my take on the law, and I definitely would like to get the group's thoughts here, at least in the US, we've seen over the last 10 years, if you're being sued simply over using someone's trademark as a keyword, that case really isn't going to go anywhere. That sort of pure, I'm Nike and I bid on Reebok and then I'm running clean Nike ads that never mention Reebok again, and my website is all about Nike and never mentions Reebok, and I'm not doing any other weird stuff around Reebok elsewhere, then that alone doesn't give rise to liability in the US. You can still get past a motion to dismiss. Typically, we're seeing a lot of these cases end at summary judgment to the extent they go that far. And we're not seeing folks bring them as often as they used to. I think that's becoming pretty well established at this point. But going to my point earlier, keywords plus something else can still result in a finding of liability. So if Nike's running that ad and it's bidding on Reebok as a keyword, and then it's putting Reebok in their ad in a weird or confusing way, or their landing page leads you to believe that Nike has some sort of partnership with Reebok, and when they don't, or they're doing something online or elsewhere, offline even, as far as Reebok's brands, the whole totality of the keyword activity, what's in the ad, what's on the website, what else they're doing, can come together to support a finding of liability. And we'll talk more about practice pointers later, but that's why when it comes to competitive keyword advertising, making sure your client's hands are otherwise really nice and clean is a critical component. Yes? Do you want to get a mic? No, please.
Hi, I just wanted to see a little bit more, or if you could explain a little bit more about bidding on a keyword.
Yeah, no, great question, because it's different than your usual like advertising or media buying, where you're buying commercial time on a TV show or even sorts of types of online advertising. When it comes to search ads and users who are, advertisers who are bidding on a term, what they're doing is saying, I'm willing to pay $1 if someone searches for Nike and clicks on my ad. So they're going to say, I'm going to bid $1 on Nike. And then if a user types in Nike and clicks on the ad, the advertiser pays Google $1 for that. So that's what they've essentially bid. So there's then an auction, because one advertiser may bid $1, another may bid $2, another may bid 50 cents. And so as soon as you type in Nike, this auction immediately happens to evaluate who's bid on this term, how relevant is this to what the user is searching for, and then determining which ads to show and in what order. So that brings into play that quality score I was talking about earlier, the ad and the landing page. So that's the bidding that we're talking about here. We don't sell keywords. No one can own a keyword or stop anyone else from using a keyword. Anyone who wants to can bid on a keyword.
Just one last thing, is there different flight dates for these keywords? So you may have advertisers with competing flight dates for... Yeah,
so it's usually you can set and when you want your ads to be run. So if you know what, my users are really active in the morning and the people who are online at night never make a buy, you can sort of target the timing around that, geographically as well. So if you're a local dog walker in Fullerton, really not going to be useful for you for getting hits for someone who's in New York. So you can say, I just want people who are logged in and they're in Fullerton to see my ads, and that's it.
I would also just add to, anybody can look at the Google AdWords platform, and there are costs associated if you're a for-profit, but I used to have a nonprofit, and I would say they actually have a fabulous nonprofit program that you get your client into that, where there's like no cost involved to run all the ads, and it's can be kind of complex. I mean, it takes a little while to really go through all the nuances of it, but it's a great program.
Yeah, that's called Google Grants. So if you have any pro bono clients, small clients, you can have them apply for that. And then they also get help from an agency, an ad agency, who can help them with, because this is a very specialized thing. And your average person who can do it, I have an account that I get to play with. They call it $1 a day account that I can use just to try to set up campaigns and run ads. It's challenging. And so there's a whole industry now of people who manage your online marketing for you, and they know the ins and outs of this like it's the back of their hand. So yeah, absolutely.
I actually have a follow-up question to her question about the bidding. So these are auctions that happen every time a search happens, not like you're auctioning off the 4th of March on the 1st of March.
That's correct. So
Okay.
you're saying I am prepared to pay this much at a future time or whenever my campaigns are live.
Right.
And then,
So if 1,000 people search it and all of them click, then I owe $1,000, but if only one person, then only one click. Okay, sorry. And each time, each mark holder needs to make a determination about how valuable they think their own or their competitors' marks are. So how, you use the example of Nike and Reebok, how does Nike feel when Reebok outbids them? Or do they even know that? Because Nike just decides, okay, my trademark is worth $1, but Reebok decides Nike's trademark is worth $2.
so the quality score piece will come back into play. So Reebok will almost definitely have to bid more to make up for the fact that its website isn't all about Nike, whereas Nike's is.
Got it.
So brand owners have a natural edge based on the fact that their websites are going to be the most relevant to their own brands. How does Nike feel about it? Folks, advertisers and large brands definitely keep an eye on what they call their search share to see how they are performing compared to their competitors, both on branded queries, but oftentimes even the non-branded queries are the ones that are more valuable to them because those are sort of more of a free-for-all, if you will, where anyone's sort of in play. Do they know? I think they're probably they have firms that may keep an eye on things for them. There are brand monitoring agencies that do that type of work as well. And then I don't know if they care. I think it depends. I don't think they need to care because, again, if the user is looking for Nike, I think they can get to where they need to be. And then Nike can avail themselves of this as well. And so ultimately, there's more competition, more in play. I think it can be.
I think also as a practical matter, like I would always get messages if I was bidding an amount on whatever the keyword was. If it was too low, like the algorithm tells you you need to spend more money, and then you can make the decision. If you really want it, you spend more money, or you just delete that keyword and you go on and spend your money elsewhere.
You can also set budgets so that you don't get bankrupted by the system. So you can say, we only want to spend $100 a day, so
that's kind of,
at a certain point, you can try to stop whatever it is. So going back to the law, the other point I'll make is that in terms of geographic scope, the law is still evolving, but we're seeing Europe and other markets that they're generally following this same approach. I don't know if anyone here has any thoughts or views on sort of my take on the law as it stands before we get into some hot-ish cases. So the first one we'll talk about is MTM, or multi-time machine, versus Amazon. This is a decision out of the Ninth Circuit in 2015. MTM makes these sort of special ops watches. They don't sell them on Amazon. They don't have resellers who sell them on Amazon. You can't find them on Amazon. When users would go onto Amazon and search MTM special ops, the results they would get would be for competitor watches. None branded is MTM, none branded is using the special ops brand, but not MTM's products. So MTM sues Amazon, as well as I think some of the other advertisers or the sellers who were selling the other products. And the trial court grants summary judgment for Amazon, and the Ninth Circuit affirms, and concluded that because the labeling was so clear on the landing pages, no reasonable trier of fact could conclude that there would be a likelihood of confusion. And again, I think this is something, if this case were litigated 20 years ago, you might have had a different outcome because users had a different level of sophistication over the internet in the early 2000s. But again, as I mentioned earlier, I believe in this day and age, folks generally know that just because I typed in a brand, that's not necessarily what I'm going to see. And so this is sort of one of the leading sort of search engine-esque cases that has been out in the last few years.